Have you ever heard of a disorder called Edwards syndrome? Well, you probably haven't, because this disease is very rare. In fact, only 1 in 5,000 newborn babies is diagnosed with Edwards syndrome. Edwards syndrome is a condition where the infant has an extra pair of chromosomes in chromosome 18, which is why Edwards syndrome is also called Trisomy 18. Some of the symptoms of a baby developing Edwards syndrome could be seen in the low birth weight, abnormal head shape, and abnormal functions of the organs. Unfortunately, because the syndromes are life-threatening, many children that were diagnosed with this condition died before they even birthed, or could only survive for a few days. So, how did someone even develop Edwards syndrome in the first place?
Someone developed Edwards syndrome through trisomy 18, that is one of a genetic disorder. The cause of trisomy 18 itself is usually not inherited by the parents. So how it happened? Well, it happened when there is a mutation in the cell division called non-disjunction, correlating with the germ cell which has an extra pair of chromosome 18. But there are still some cases where the trisomy 18 is inherited by the parent. These cases usually happen because of a process called translocation that switch the genetic materials between chromosomes. But what about the prevalence of Edwards syndrome? The prevalence of Edwards syndromes in live birth range from 1 in 3,600 to 1 in 10,000. The prevalence of trisomy 18 has increased over the last 2 decades as the maternal age has increased. How about the incidence? The incidence of Edwards syndromes varies according to country and termination policy. For the overall prevalence of Edwards syndromes in the United States is approximately 1 in 2,500, with a live-born prevalence of 1 in 8,600. How about the females and males? Females have a higher prevalence than males. However, males experience more fatal loss than females, and females outlive males.
From what you have heard of Edwards syndrome, you might be thinking, how does an extra chromosome even grow in the first place, and why? To answer this question, we need to know about the process of cell division first. Cell division, or also known as meiosis, is a process where cells divide themselves into two while retaining their important genes. This process begins almost immediately after the sperm has entered inside of the egg cell. Meiosis is incredibly important as it is the precursor of growth, but it is also very volatile as one error occurring could affect a person's growth. Here in this exact stage of development is where trisomy 18 happens. As the genetic materials of both parents combine to form a new gene, a defect was already present in either the sperm or the egg cell, causing the newly formed gene to be slightly distorted. This simple error is the whole cause of Edwards syndrome occurring, as now the zygote grows with a defective gene, disturbing the whole growth process itself. Some parts of the body will not be fully developed due to this.
Signs of Edwards syndrome are usually detectable during the first screening process, which is usually performed between the 10th to the 14th week of pregnancy. The screening involves taking the baby's blood as well as ultrasound images to measure the amount of fluid at the back of the neck. However, this screening only indicates the chances of developing the disease, not where it will develop or how it would affect the baby. If there is a high chance of developing Edwards syndrome, there are tests to clearly determine if the baby will develop it. These tests require sample cells, which are very invasive to obtain, and increase the chance of miscarriage. Samples are obtained either from the placenta or from the amniotic fluid around the baby. Prognosis of Edwards syndrome patients are generally poor, with most pregnancies ending in miscarriage or stillbirth. The babies who survive labor have various prognoses ranging from 1 week to over 5 years. However, only the very few lucky 10% of all born babies will survive past their first birthday.
Treatment for Edwards syndrome is supportive and often involves a multidisciplinary team of healthcare professionals, including doctors, nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and other specialists. Treatment may include 1. Medical management. This may involve medication to manage symptoms such as seizures, feeding difficulties, and respiratory problems. 2. Physical therapy. Physical therapy can help individuals with Edwards syndrome improve their strength, mobility, and function. 3. Occupational therapy. Occupational therapy can help individuals with Edwards syndrome learn skills needed for daily living, such as feeding and dressing themselves. 4. Nutritional support. Some individuals with Edwards syndrome may have difficulty eating and swallowing, and may need specialized feeding equipment or tube feeding to ensure they receive adequate nutrition. 5. Palliative care. Palliative care is focused on providing comfort and improving quality of life for individuals with a serious illness. This may include pain management, symptom control, and support for the individual and their family. Health supervision for individuals with Edwards syndrome typically involves regular checks-up and monitoring of their overall health, including their growth and development, as well as the management of any medical condition or complication that may arise. It is important for the parents and caregivers of individuals with Edwards syndrome to work closely with their healthcare team to develop a comprehensive treatment and management plan that meets the individual's needs and goals. This may involve coordinating care with multiple specialists and making decisions about the individual's medical treatment and care as they grow and change.